to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
If your dreams don't scare you, they are not big enough.
And Dale Hummel.
Inflation is taxation without legislation.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
It's a very good week, Ryan.
I had a wonderful week.
Cherie is the most proud of you.
She's just an old woman trying to get into heaven. I'm going to be serious. Like, what she wrote was very nice. It's lovely, all these things. I am also going to tell you people that the woman did not travel 2,036 miles to go to a show that her son was judging. Did not even go day one. Day two, we were at the show for 5 hours. 4 hours and 15 minutes of it she spent in the car. I was too busy worrying about the steer show on the final day, but the steer show was 9 classes, about 60 head, but there was like a lot of stuff with it, so it was about 2 hours. So if she paid attention the entire time, we're talking 120 minutes.
That's the fact that she flew to Canada, in case people don't know the backstory.
The only reason she posted anything is because I called out her favorite son, Randy, on the microphone when talking about the Grand Champion steer. That's the only reason.
But she did go there for you, and she did support you.
She went to get out of 110-degree temperatures. She even admitted that.
Just be nice to her.
I was nice to her.
You fed her lobster every night.
The biggest
giant. I have to go to Alberta here in the next few days and to Calgary. I'm going to go to that restaurant.
It's the Westin Hotel Steakhouse.
I'm not going to like the bill at all, but I'm going.
No, you're not. I assure you, you're not. But she also spent $161 in a Canadian Walmart.
That's okay. That's reasonably that's okay. I'm okay with that. Tell me about the homeless in Canada.
There are no homeless in Canada, or at least there are none in Alberta. And I pay attention to this because the homeless problem is getting worse in places that I really like Indianapolis. It's god-awful in all the major metropolitan areas of Texas. But, so I'm kind of like, I venture out. I go see things. I absorb culture, mostly bars, but that is culture.
You venture out. Let's define that a little better.
I venture out. I go bar hopping and stuff.
Yes, okay.
And not all these bars are in great places, but most of them, but all in downtown. And there was not. I'm talking about everybody was clean. The clothes were clean. Shoes on. Not one. It was unbelievable. Even Cherie noticed it in between her triple X size lobsters. It was amazing.
And I normally wouldn't just take your word for it, but I did see something in your snap that would back up your story.
Yeah, there are literally bunnies running around the streets of Alberta, Canada.
Clearly, if they're homeless, they would have eaten the bunnies if they're homeless.
The most. But
so you're going to tell people there's domestic rabbits running around Calgary.
I didn't have to tell anybody. I had video evidence of it.
Does that not seem just a touch odd?
Why do you think I put it on my snap?
Are you sure somebody just didn't let them go right there, right then?
No.
Did you see any more than those?
No, but I didn't go back down there again. I thought I'm a little sketchy. No.
Besides
venturing
out at the moment.
Besides the rabbits, it is a little sketchy. I ain't gonna lie. But I do want to say that I thought Summer Synergy and the Calgary Stampede Junior Steer Classic were amazing. Never been to Alberta to judge. The last time I went to Canada to judge, it did not go well. So I didn't have any expectations for this. I don't know if it went well, but they weren't outwardly angry at me, and I got a lot of good compliments. But I tell you what, that was fun. Lots of fun, especially the man, like in the steer show. We had a bagpipe player lead us around the ring with some dignitaries and all this. It was cool. It was very cool.
You enjoy that part.
Jumbotron. I was on the Jumbotron. It was so fun. So fun.
Well, good. Well, while you were out in another country not worried about what's going on here, Is that how you usually state it when I leave?
Yeah, but you went for like 3 weeks. I went for 3 days.
Did you hear that Joe has a deal on the table with Iran?
Yes, I knew that.
We
And
knew that.
we all knew that was going to happen. And the Saudi prince told him, no more
No.
oil for you.
Fist bump? No.
No oil for you, JoJo.
It's amazing to me. It just continues. I was happy to see on the news, and I'm sure it's only being covered by Fox, but they're not happy that there was a shooting in Indiana at a mall, but the fact that the shooter was taken out fairly quickly by what they're terming a good Samaritan. Basically, a private citizen took down a mall shooter.
I think that is fine as long as, I mean, obviously he's pretty savvy with a gun to do this, but I just worry now that other people are going to see this that aren't as well trained as him, and we're going to be wild, wild west. But it is,
even if we have a few that are capable in each mall or each school, teachers, I still think that curves that people are less likely to go do this with a thought that somebody else in there may have a gun that can shoot back.
oh my.
That is my thought. I'm not encouraging it. Well, yeah, I am.
Sounds like
capable,
you are.
Yep, capable people should be allowed to carry a gun, and if they come across a situation where some crazy person is shooting other people for no apparent reason, they should be allowed to shoot them. I am encouraging that. I'm good with that.
Well, you also thought those crazy people should shoot people walking down the street on their lawn, so this is nothing new for you.
Not shoot them, but they had no reason.
In the kneecap. That's what you said. In the kneecap.
They came onto their property and tried to cause problems. Yes, they had
sidewalk is not your personal
property. They weren't
property.
crazy people. They were attorneys in St. Louis standing up for what they believed in.
Okay.
And then within their legal rights.
How about your sister Pelosi?
Well, she's going to make a little bit of money, I think.
her husband's going to make a lot of money.
Did you hear her official statement on it?
That she does not own any stock of any kind.
Yeah, she did not buy it.
Yep.
She doesn't. But
she owns no stock of any kind. She did not buy it. Now, her husband, on the other hand.
Yeah. Can you believe the gall in that lady?
Yeah.
Nothing phases her.
Like, I really do not like that woman. Like, I won't go to the fact that, like, I hate her and I want something bad to happen to her, but I really, really don't like that woman. And if she gets booted as speaker, I'm probably going to have, like, the biggest party ever. But
well, I think there's a little bit of indication that she thinks she's going, because this is a pretty big, I believe he purchased 200 call options, basically equivalent.
Wasn't it? It's like over $1 million worth of stuff.
Yeah, and when you're buying these call options, it's kind of a long shot. You're betting on that you have a certain amount of time for this to happen. He's betting on the prices or the stock in this company to get to a certain point fairly rapidly. There's no question that Nancy's going to try to push this subsidy through. And for those that haven't followed this, basically in the House, I think here directly, and then it goes on to the Senate. Maybe it's already passed the House. I don't know. This was disclosed in June when he bought these, or that's when it would happen. The transaction happened. But what we've got is the government's going to subsidize chip manufacturers. And it appears as though Mr. Pelosi found what he thought was one of the chip manufacturers that's probably going to get possibly several $1 billion in subsidies. And as soon as that happens, what do you think is going to happen to their stock? Yeah, it's going to be a gold cash cow. I'll tell you what, if I had the technology to mirror his stock trades, I'd do it. I'd just blindly follow whatever he's doing.
I just don't understand, like, why she obviously knows she's going to get, like, booted. So why is she running again?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't you just bow out and say bye?
I think that he's aware that she's going to lose, because this is more brazen than usual. Not that he hasn't done things like this in the past, and that's how they've made all of their money. But this one's pretty out there. This one is getting a little more attention than usual.
It's something.
And she basically made the statement that she has no input on what her husband buys or sells for stocks. She doesn't.
Like Joe knows nothing about Hunter's business still.
Doesn't discuss these things with him. Are you kidding me?
Nope. Nothing.
I can't buy into that.
It is called plausible deniability.
It is amazing that term must hold a lot of weight in court.
So I'm sure that you're aware that the Democrats are still freaking out about Joe saying that he's going to run for president again, which, again, I wish they would get off this because I really hope he does. I think he should.
I don't know
But
why you continue to hang on to that when you know it's not going to
I
happen.
think he should run. I think it would be great. I'm ready
I
to
think
write
he should
a
run
check.
too, but you have to be a realist.
I am ready to write a check. But all this nonsense is going on with, Hillary and your boy Pritzker and Gavin, and now Pete Buttplug is up in the middle of all this, which, again, I just would like to say again on behalf of, I'm not speaking for the gays, but I'm speaking as a gay. That man does not need to hold any type of public office whatsoever. He's the Secretary of Transportation, and let's talk about all the shit that's gone wrong since he's been in that role, okay? I don't even think we have to, go there. But there's what is the new bill that the Dems are trying to, is it Build Back Better again? Are they trying a revised version of this or whatever?
I don't know, but Manchin appears to be.
Right. Okay, that's my point. So whatever it is that they're trying to get passed before midterms, Manchin has told them to jump in a lake, screw off, he's not doing it. And so now, Clinton's former labor secretary, this dude named Robert Reich, is calling on the Democratic Party to boot Manchin out. Now, I don't know how you do that.
I don't know either. Wouldn't we have done that with our lady from Wyoming if that was the case?
Duh. Oh, and she's behind 22 points in the polls in the Republican primary. Did you know that,
I don't
Liz
know.
Cheney?
She would have been better off to jump ship into the
She's 22 points behind in the primary.
Yeah. I think you think we're upset with some of these people, those Wyoming conservatives.
They're ready to kill her.
You want to talk about shooting somebody in the kneecap?
It's going to be like Yellowstone. They're taking her to the train station.
I believe that is the direction they would like to take.
But no. So I was like, can you do this? Can you kick somebody out of the political party? I mean, what do you like? Is there a vote? But yeah. So I don't know. It's a very bad time to be a Democrat right now. I think there's more Hunter stuff. Poor thing.
They had 30 plus trips to the White House when he returned home from his international consulting. Is that what we'll call it? 30 plus trips. Basically went to the White House on his way back home, but he didn't discuss his trip with his father.
None of them. Any of the 30 White House visits, he discussed nothing of his business dealings with Sleepy Creepy Joe.
And these people can tell us that I'm convinced they think we will buy into this, that we will believe this.
Obviously, because they're putting it out there.
I mean, it's only they don't have another option, but I just wonder if they're really that brazen to believe that they can feed this and we're going to buy into it. I don't know.
And then again, like I said, I've been in Canada. I've been busy because I had to take care of Sheree. But Fauci's peacing out. Did you know that?
Yes, but not for sure when. Just by the end of Biden's.
Yeah, but he's not going to serve another president.
Tell you why he may be doing that?
Well, because he doesn't want to get fired by a Republican.
There you go. Exactly.
I mean, come on.
I bet he stretches it out another year.
Oh, I'm sure he'll go right up to the whatever. But yeah, I think that's nice that he's pieced out. And then, have you heard about all the uproar over the trans swimmer being nominated for the top NCAA award?
I think it's just wonderful. Isn't that so sweet?
I just think it's just glorious.
It's shocking to me.
Which she can't compete now. So how do you get an award?
Did you know she was on the men's swimming team there first?
Yeah, and she never won anything.
I didn't. I was curious. I hadn't heard how that.
I mean, I'm not saying she sucked, but she didn't.
He was just average as a collegiate swimmer.
He made the team, but no, he wasn't winning. Like all the stuff. But yeah, but And so, like, I think there's multiple people upset over Leah Thomas being nominated for the NCAA Woman of the Year award. But, okay, now, see, I have to call out hypocrisy all the time. Nobody got up in arms when Caitlyn Jenner blah, 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 blah.
Be careful. Don't be picking on Caitlyn.
I'm not picking on, okay, I'm tongue-tied. I'm very tired, by the way. Sorry. When Caitlyn became, or when Kris Jenner became, what was his name?
Bruce Jenner.
Bruce Jenner. There's too many K's and too many Kardashians. Anyway, when Bruce Jenner became Caitlyn Jenner, okay? They awarded, like, one of those big sports awards deals, awarded her, like, the thing of the year, and nobody cared.
Well, that was because there was no misrepresentation. That was from when he was participating as Bruce Jenner. He wasn't participating in women's events.
Uh-huh.
I'm sure this was something that obviously for his success as an Olympian or an athlete long ago, that's what the award was for. And it just happens to be that he changed to a she, which doesn't affect that. It seems.
And then they gave her the award. But I like Caitlyn. I do. I think she's smart.
Caitlyn did not go out and compete as a female.
No, and she speaks out about this too. I'm not going to lie. She says it's a terrible idea.
I can accept that one seems very, very good.
But it's a terrible idea. But yeah, so I don't know. And then I'm very sorry that I do not have any more current events than this. I will try to be more prepared next week, but like judging, I had to be at the airport at like 2:00 this morning. It's a wreck.
I do have a couple things.
Okay, good.
You know what?
China!
It's all about China again.
Oh,
and I can lead this off. I'm going to be transparent here. I ordered box cutting knives on Amazon, and I was in a hurry and I didn't research, or it was hidden. I made a mistake. When they came in, guess what it said on the package?
China!
Yep, it did. And so it's hard to avoid, but you have to at least try. So I'm gonna summarize something, and I'm sure maybe you saw this, maybe not, Ryan. China, they're very intelligent about their method of becoming the world power, and the biggest hurdle they have is the United States. And I think we've talked about this enough.
Not for much longer. Just wait till Biden.
Yeah, all of Biden's policies and the way he's conducting himself allows China to ramp up everything that they're doing. And if you see, just watch some of their actions, they understand that they're producing in China a lot of our essential products that we need, including computer chips and many other things that we should never allow outside of our country or outside of the Americas. I will say, I don't have a problem if Canada produces them or even Mexico, but we need it closer to home in an ideal situation. China has also been buying up farm ground and processing plants. And if they can't pirate or steal our technology, they'll buy into those companies to get access to them. They're very intelligent about putting themselves in a position where the United States is dependent upon them. And that is a terrible place for us to be, period. The latest thing that came across, I had one of the ag teachers here in Illinois, actually a former teacher at TriPoint, emailed me this, and then a couple others had done the same. And I saw it on the news as well that China has bought some farm ground, I believe, in North Dakota, approximately 12 miles from one of our military bases. For obvious reasons, buying up farm ground is making us dependent upon them, and that close to a military base that is conducting, I think, higher end, more secretive operations, that they will be in a position where they can probably spy on them much easier. And they are all about stealing anything and everything they can from us in terms of technology. But it continues to go on. They continue to ingrain themselves. Think about Biden's huge push to the new Green Deal and the huge push for electric cars. Solar panels has been coming up all the time. We're trying to purchase as many solar panels. China almost has a monopoly on solar panels. So that's in part another cash cow, or if you want to say we're dependent on them. I'd hate to think we're ever dependent on solar panels, but when Biden just shut down, I think, any drilling offshore, and he continues to beat up on our domestic energy production, oil and gas, that maybe at some point we are dependent on getting solar panels from China. It just continues to build, and it wears on me on a daily basis that a lot of people aren't paying attention to this, but we continue to see more. The most brilliant thing maybe China's done, other than buy up our farm ground and processing plants and various companies and produce products that we absolutely rely on, they are sending the chemical for fentanyl is all coming from China, going directly to the Mexican drug cartel and then into the United States, disguised as pharmaceuticals, laced into mini pharmaceuticals, laced into just about everything. And that is killing more people than what we see in front of us on the news all the time, but it's going to continue to get worse. And it's frightening. If you think you're taking an Oxycontin or whatever it may be, laced with fentanyl, this, Ryan, it's hard. I researched a little bit. It's hard to imagine just how toxic or how deadly this is. There is no way that the Mexican drug cartel is going to manufacture this with any type of quality control to get the right proportions. It's almost like suicide, taking a pill of any sort that didn't come directly from your pharmacy in a package. Period. And I hope our younger generation understands that.
Okay. And I'm with you, and I agree with that, and I get it. I have a question, though. Does that not seem like bad business, and not like, because they're killing their customers?
They are, but I think it's more about they're making a lot of money short term, and I think it's more about the, I guess, cooperation between China and the drug cartel in Mexico. I think I truly believe that it's that relationship and that big push from China. If they can continue to pump drugs into this country that are killing people, what does that disrupts our society to the point that everything becomes easier. They're going to do anything they can to bring us down, and China becomes the world power. And this is another avenue to do that. And I don't think we have any idea that fentanyl, I mean, it's already hitting the streets, but there is so much that has come across the border sitting in warehouse A, B, or C, when all of this that's coming across the border right now, because the border is wide ass open, hits the streets. I think we're going to be feeling the effects of this for a decade. And I think it's going to cause a lot of social disruption, which benefits China. At least they're playing.
I mean, obviously, this has been all over the news. It's a terrible situation, all this stuff. I just don't understand why they're trying to kill. I mean, you would think they're killing literally hundreds of thousands of paying customers. I don't understand it.
I think the drug
sounds
cartel,
like terrible business practice.
It's not a good idea from the drug cartel standpoint, but if there's that much money coming from China or money to be made, I think they're just taking it. I don't know. You might be right.
No, I mean, I just think they're dumb. But
it's definitely the collusion between China sending the chemicals to them and them manufacturing it in Mexico. And I never speak out much against Mexico, but there's no question that the president of Mexico,
they're complicit, at least.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not saying they're in on it, but they are at least complicit.
No, there's no question. And I get it. I don't know that government, I think the drug cartel can overtake the government on a drop of a hat. So I don't know what they can do about it.
Well, I don't know.
How about we progress on to something very positive?
You have nothing positive about.
No, that's why I'm going to throw it to you. The BTR JLA news.
Oh, okay. Well, before we get to that, I just want to give, I forgot when I was talking about Summer Synergy. I want to give them a shout out not because I had such a good time, but I was just overwhelmingly impressed with this fact. So several years ago, the Calgary Stampede stopped having livestock shows other than the Junior Steer Classic. And so 12 years ago, Synergy decided to take it up, and they have it in Olds, which is about an hour north. And this is all collated and cooperated and, all this stuff with Calgary Stampede. It's just not on the grounds anymore, other than the steer show. Anyhow, in 12 years, they have awarded $780,000.
Are you sure on those numbers?
Yes, I am positive.
That is amazing.
That is just...
How many exhibitors do you think were at that? synergy.
There was they have other competitions than just the sheep and the cattle show. They had judging contests and all these things. It's kind of like a junior national. You know what I'm saying? Where they have leadership contests, all this other stuff. But there was over 400 head of cattle and over 200 head of sheep.
I'm just trying to, in my head, divide that up amongst exhibitors. But that's still a lot of money to be given out.
Yeah. But so anyway, I forgot to say that earlier, and I wanted to make sure I got that in there. So now we are moving on to the BTR JLA of it all, and we have a very cool thing. We almost have our first. So for those of you that don't know, the way the points work is if you win grand champion at a show, you get 50 points. And so we only count your highest 10. So technically, a perfect score would be 500, but you get 10 points for joining. So technically,
without going to a national show,
right? Without going to one of the double point shows, so you can get more than 510 points, but that you have to go to double point shows to get that, and that's the majors: Kansas City, Louisville, Denver.
We have not had any yet, correct?
Yes, we've had Congress, we've had Denver. We still have 3 left: Louisville, Kansas City, and Arizona National.
600 points in theory.
I haven't put up exactly what I haven't figured out exactly what you could get, but you're missing the point.
Okay, go ahead.
We have someone that is over 500 points for the first deal, and so anyway,
in a single species.
In a single species, yes, and so in a single species, but so that's why I'm doing this one this week. So with 505 points, so he's basically won 9 shows and had a reserve. Jordan Ash of Lancaster, Ohio, is in first in the overall top 10 overall GOAT awards. Piper Liska, who is the all-around winner right now, who's winning the sheep deal, she is in second with 445 points. Third from Georgetown, Delaware, Colby Wilson. Fourth, Reagan Rogers of Gilbert, Arizona. Fifth, Dale's favorite member, Paisley Carlson of Oakland, California. Next is Kiara Rogers of Gilbert, Arizona, followed by Michael Rosell of Adams, Oregon. Roselle? I thought I said Roselle.
Close enough.
Fine. Anyway, then Addison Sharp of Eagle Mountain, Utah. Audrey Poling of Moatesville, West Virginia, and even Ditzler of Fredericksburg, Pennsylvania. So, GOAT deal's heating up. But before we say it, I don't want y'all to think that the GOAT thing is over, because it's not. Because, again, there's lots of kids that could win 10 shows and have, maximum number of points. And if that happens, then if you go and do well at one of the 3 double point shows left, you can increase your score. So don't think it's over.
Your 10 best point shows will count.
Yeah, your 10 best point shows will count. But I do think it's cool that we've got somebody real close to having if 10 regular rings is a perfect score.
Yeah, and that appears to be no national points. Would that be correct?
Yeah, he has none. But
interesting. Very interesting.
I thought it was
and
cool.
I heard somebody from Utah. You spread those out really well this time.
I don't control the points, Dale.
And speaking of Utah, I assume there's a county fair in Moab, Utah.
Oh God,
you know what I'd like there.
Yeah, if there's a county fair in wherever place
Moab.
Utah, Dale wants to judge it.
Most. I'd probably do it expenses only.
He'd probably do it for free. He's lying.
I probably would. You're right.
But anyhow, so, and then other BTR JLA news that we are very excited about is we got a brand new corporate sponsor. And we are very, 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 very thankful to Brock Farms Angus Cattle. And they are our 4th corporate sponsor. Brock Farms Angus Cattle is a 4th-generation family farm located 45 minutes west of Indianapolis. I love these people even more now. In the town of Stillsville, Indiana, David and Chris Brock, with their children, Andy and Katie, maintain 150 commercial and Angus cattle, focusing on raising genetically superior cattle, striving to balance phenotype and production. See, Dale, you should like them too. They're all about production.
Yes, isn't that a new concept?
Brock Farms Angus Cattle offers breeding stock, feeder calves, and freezer beef. We are a unique cattle operation that offers both high-quality commercial cattle as well as top Angus genetics from competitive Angus cattle throughout. They are pleased to offer you anything from a bull to a heifer to show calves, also a really delicious steak. So they take pride in raising Angus bulls that balance calving ease with efficient growth and carcass to provide exceptional calves. They make it a priority to breed Angus females that are sound, functional, and display genetic excellence in the show ring, and more importantly, in the pasture. They have extensive embryo transfer program that accelerates their genetics. They use embryos from proven winners. Brock Farms Angus Cattle believes in helping youth be a success and with their junior projects. And so if they're purchasing a heifer or steer from them, they're behind them 100%. Andy and Katie were both 10-year 4-H members. They have learned great skills from this program, and they want to give back to a program, to the Junior Livestock Show program and kids that have helped their family so much. And so we really, really appreciate Brock Farms Angus Cattle from Stillsville, Indiana, for becoming a corporate sponsor.
Yes. Thank you, Brock Farms. And I'll tell you what, Ryan, their mission or their goal or talking about raising real world commercial cattle that also get along the show ring, that is a challenge. And you think it's almost impossible, I assume.
I
appreciate that they're hitting all aspects of that.
I think it's cool. Like, you can go buy a show heifer and a steak. Like,
I think the fact
that's what I think is cool.
They're putting emphasis on true real world performance production traits, yet still has some show cattle and put some freezer beef in. That's how it should be. Shouldn't that all be?
I think my thing, I go get me a fancy show heifer and I get me a ribeye to like take home and grill. That's what I'm about. Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, I'm going to come in as always and much appreciated the continued support from Show Fresh H2O. I appreciate the fact that they're willing to give back to the Junior Livestock Association through sponsorship of this program. You can pick up your Show Fresh H2O at any of your local supply trailers or order online at swampfox.com. Thank you, Show Fresh H2O. Your sponsorship is appreciated. Please patronize Show Fresh H2O. If you have not tried it yet, give it a try. If it doesn't work for you, let me know, but I've had no negative.
Everybody better be trying that stuff. It's 112 degrees in the shade everywhere.
You are in Colorado. I saw it was 98 in Denver today. I think that's
so hot.
Do you even know what part of the state you're in?
Well, right now I'm in Colorado Springs, but no, I don't know where that is. It was a plane from Calgary to Denver and a plane from Denver to Colorado Springs. That's
probably a small plane from Denver to Colorado Springs.
No, not really.
Oh, okay, that's good. I'd hate for you not to have a first class area. That'd bother me. I'd have to sleep on that for you. I'm making a 10-hour flight or whatever it is to Argentina in economy.
Well, you and Callie have fun.
Callie's probably not flying economy.
Oh, yes, she is.
Oh, my. I think I might be economy plus, maybe. I'm not sure what that was, but it'll probably be a window seat. Remember, I think I don't know. We don't want to talk about it. It doesn't go. Those flights just never go well for me at all.
You're right.
Are we ready for a main topic?
Yes, your wife's topic. A very good topic.
Yes, and I had a text from a gentleman that
give Holly the credit.
Yes, Holly said we need to talk about this. I don't know if I think it came up before the text from a gentleman from Arizona that was talking about their show series.
Let Holly have it. You just can't. You just can't.
Holly, thank you for the help. Thank you. And I even tried to give you a little bit of credit for this.
This is why you're going to become divorced twice. I'm just saying.
Gosh, she says, hey, you need to talk about this. Exhibitor Economics. Now, can we at least tell them you came up with the title?
I did come up with the title.
Exhibitor Economics. So there's no question that there's increased cost of fuel, hotels, and nearly every travel expense is putting some show families in a position to making decisions. Do we go to shows A, B, and C, or just A, B, or they're not necessarily going to every show because the hotels in certain parts of the country, it's bad. And here in the Midwest, we don't always have
hotels are considerably higher than they were last year.
in some parts of the country, Texas, well, I shouldn't say Texas, the Midwest, Indiana, Ohio, that region, there's a lot of shows not far away. But you get into the Northwest and the Southwest, those families are traveling. Think about that show in Farmington we did, Ryan. Those people traveled a long ways to get there. Most
Oh,
of
hell yeah. Well, that show in Idaho that I just judged a few, whatever, I think they had like, I don't know, 8 states, whatever. I mean, like,
So there's a significant amount that the expense of showing livestock is greater than it was a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. So with that said, we thought we'd kind of talk about this, and I think for those show managers that put some thought into this, and I think it's coming at a time that Ryan and I at least are pushing more exhibitor friendly shows and more exhibitor input. But if exhibitor show families are making choices between shows A, B, and C, and show A is asking for exhibitor input, they're trying to accommodate, they're doing everything they can to make it a more positive experience, would you not assume that exhibitors will migrate that way?
yeah. And I think my take on this topic, and there's lots of different ways to talk about it, but like, I'm going to talk about things that I think either the shows should be implementing that I think exhibitors and their families would be more prone to go to those shows. And I think also on the, same thing that this is what exhibitors should look for in shows because it is going to be more economical for them. And, I mean, with all the shit that's going down now, inflation, gas, all of it, there's going to have to be some choices made. I mean, I'm not saying that numbers are down. That's just all there is to it. Like, I'm not going to sugarcoat it for people. Numbers are down.
No question. And it is what it is. And I hope that something can change. I don't know what can change. There's one thing that obviously the fuel prices, inflation, all these things came into play. And I'm going to swing back here just a little bit, maybe more current events in the main topic, but we are talking about these issues regarding inflation, particularly energy costs and hotel costs that impact show families. There is no question that the policies in place right now by our current administration has fueled these costs. And I don't think that there's necessarily a turnaround for it other than the fact that you would assume this fall's elections could make some difference, at least set a pace that we can go the right direction in 2024. You can hope, but I don't know that next summer is going to be a lot different. I guess it's the bad news. I hope the fuel prices can come down a little bit. Maybe the Biden administration will take a turn and open up some drilling, but I don't know if that's going to happen. And outside of bringing energy costs down, inflation is going to be hard to get under control. We're going to continue to bump interest rates, and that will slow things, but it's painful for people that don't have a fixed home loan and things like that. So our show
family, what's going to be painful?
What is that?
Clifton's job this week is going to be painful because this is the squeakiest damn chair I have ever sat in my entire life.
At a Westin, at a high-end hotel.
Yes. No, I mean, this is, I'm like, and this thing, Jesus, sorry, Clifton, but
he's got this under control. He's got it. So, Ryan, you had brought up earlier, I don't know if it was in a personal conversation or it was on the podcast, but there's no question there's been a trend that we're getting more rings at a specific location in a specific weekend. And I think that's great. 4 different opinions, 2 different opinions, whatever it may be. But if we can travel to that show, let's say, I don't know. I think I'm judging a show at the Casino Corning, California here.
I did it last year.
Yeah. So do they have 2 or 4 rings at that one?
I think they have 4.
I know there's some out there that do. So if you have 4 rings on a Saturday and Sunday, if you live in California or Nevada or somewhere close, if you could drive in Saturday morning, one night away from home and back Sunday night, I mean, it'd be an early morning and a late night Sunday, but you could hit 4 rings with 1 hotel cost. And I mean, it's just painful. It is. And I think some of those shows that are doing those, even 2 rings in one day, think about all the junior nationals, Ryan. I'm going to say those are going to range from 4 to 6 nights.
Oh,
No?
not there is no junior national. That's just 4 nights. There is not
I'm trying to
none.
be kind.
There is not. You are trying to be kind, and you are a liar, sir.
So
But
7
before we
nights,
get
right?
to the
8 nights.
junior national of it all, going back to what you're saying, I have never quite understood, other than I guess not having enough manpower. It takes the same amount of work to put on one show that it does 2 rings in one day. I mean,
For the most part.
I mean, for the most part, unless you're just literally don't have enough hands on deck to, facilitate getting the second ring run.
And we're talking 2 or 3 more people.
Right. I've never understood that. Like, it just blows my mind. And I mean, I judge lots of those shows. I mean, but I've just never understood the concept, because my mother has run shows since I've been around, and I've run shows myself and all that. And I'm telling you, other than the actual manpower to have another ring, all the other stuff is about the same. I mean, and there's lots of shows and again, this comes from Texas, and maybe this is why up in the other states, like, there are lots of shows in Texas that they have 4 rings, but like only one of those rings you may get awards, and one you may get money, and then the other one's just for points. And nobody seems to have a problem. I mean, those entry fees are greatly reduced from the ones where you're getting awards or getting cash back, just the point rings. But
it gives those kids another chance to get in the ring.
Right.
And that's kind of what it's all about.
Right. And I've just never quite understood that. And right now, I mean, I'm going to assume it's been, we know gas has never been this high. Inflation hasn't been this high in 40 years and all this other stuff. So
I guarantee you hotel rooms have never been this high.
Right. So now more than ever, you got it. And from a show perspective, if numbers are down, which they are, you're going to get twice the entry fees this way by having 2 rings. I don't think they think, you know what I'm saying? So you're going to get more money taken in. And so I think, I get that 4 rings is a lot, because that's 2 rings, 2 days in a row. And I understand in the heat and everything else, but like, even if you could just have 1 ring Saturday and 1 ring Sunday, that's still helping everybody out, I think. And I think you brought up a very good point on this. I think shows can do little things right now that can make it much easier on their potential exhibitors, by doing things like maybe starting later on a Saturday so they can drive in that morning, turn in their weight cards, check whatever they got to do to check in, and save them a hotel room for Friday night. And again, that's a little thing that maybe delaying it 2 hours could be very helpful.
Agreed. Absolutely. We can, there's things that we can do. And if you think about the old school methods of running a show, it was pretty dictatorship. That show made whatever rules they wanted to make, or set up the show to accommodate, I'm not going to say them, but for the most part, whatever they wanted, without input for the most part from the exhibitor. I'm not saying that they didn't take into account what they thought the exhibitor would want and things like that, but I think the old school methods of running a show, it's just not practical. Think about, Ryan, a lot of these shows, and sometimes we'll take a show that could be done in one afternoon and stretch it out over 3 days. You run into these things all the time. I understand a lot of those are at county fairs and there's different reasons for it, but there's no reason we can't do more in a shorter period of time. Is that the best way to put it?
Yeah. And going back to I think, and again, I'm not picking on junior nationals, because I've gone to 900 million of them, but I think there's something to be said to all the junior nationals, even the GOAT junior nationals, the NJSA things, all those things. But those events that take a week-ish in length, right now you're making the planning decisions for those shows for summer of 2023. If you could cut one night out, just one, think how grateful your exhibitors would be. I think that there's possibilities to cut out more than one, but I think one would be amazing because, again, like Dell said earlier, we may be a little better next year, but I don't know if we're going to be drastically better. I don't think we're going to be back to normal whatsoever. And you're making those planning decisions now. And I realize that you have to plan that right now. But just think about that. See if there's just any way to put, more contests later into an evening or, anything to shave off one day on that schedule.
No, and please, listeners, don't take it as though Ryan and I are anti-junior nationals.
I am not anti-junior national. I love the junior national.
Those are incredible events, and it's an experience, and that's how it's evolved, and the exhibitors and the show families.
And if it wasn't as great and grand as it was, most people wouldn't make that their vacation every year, and they do.
Nope, they do. And all we're saying is that it's going to be harder for some of those families to justify that many nights. So it is what it is, or maybe some options where you can be there 4 or 5 nights versus 6 or 7 or whatever it may be. Just have an open mind when you're planning that. And I think it might benefit everybody, but let's not lose track of all those good educational events, the experience.
I didn't say cut out any of the events.
I just wanted to make sure that I was trying to prevent hate mail here.
I won the damn Simmental Bell. Okay, I'm all about it.
Cowbell,
Simmental Cowbell twice. Junior.
I did get some texts from or emails about cowbell stories.
Yeah. Cherie has the best cowbell story. I'm sorry, there's no other better one than her.
We're going to bring her on for that one.
Nope, we're not bringing her on. But
so as we get back to, we talked about the old school methods of running a show, and we're pushing. And when I say we, Brian and I continue to push for more family friendly shows where we're getting more exhibitor input. We're doing those things. Let's think about, you travel, we're going to put ourselves in Nevada or Utah or wherever, and we travel to New Mexico for a show. It's the only jackpot that weekend, and we drive 7 hours one way. You get there and you have an experience that maybe it was challenging getting checked in, that there was a number missing on an ear tag. Who knows what? We've all gone through those experiences. And some shows are very accommodating, and others are just very difficult. If we go to that show and we run into one after another issue, all of a sudden, I promise you, those families probably aren't going to make that trip next year, considering the cost and everything else involved. So I think it's going to get hit from twofold. We've got shows that are stepping up and doing a better job trying to become more exhibitor friendly, combined with the inflation, the fuel costs, the hotel costs. All of those things are impacting. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is we're going to have more choices being made, and we're going to decide on show A instead of show B. Maybe there's 2 shows this month that we're thinking about going to, and we end up going to one. We're going to make that decision towards that show that's better going to accommodate. What if you end up at a show, Ryan, and people, this happens, unfortunately, you end up at one of those shows that you spent X amount of dollars on, and I don't even want to guess it. Everybody's going to be different on how much they have to spend to go to that show over that weekend. And you get there and that judge has a political agenda, and you're not on the right political side of that agenda. And you've put all this effort and time and money. It shouldn't even involve them. It's bad no matter what. But I promise you, people are going to continue to avoid those situations given the opportunity.
I mean, that's a terrible situation. It can happen. It will happen, etc. But if you got multiple rings, you got multiple opinions. So maybe maybe it will go better on the other one. And I mean, not just the politics of it all. I mean, yeah, that can happen for sure. But like, just sometimes somebody ain't gonna like your stuff. And maybe the next ring somebody will. But if it's a one and done, then you're kind of.
And I don't know. I think it's across the country, Ryan. You're out there more than anybody. I see more back-to-back shows or ring A's and B's than I used to. I think you've had them that way in Texas for a very long time, but it took a little longer. They've just in the past several years have infiltrated into other parts of the country.
Yeah. I mean, y'all think when I was a junior exhibitor
very
running
long
points.
ago. Very long ago.
No, running points. We would do 4 rings on Saturday, pack up, drive to another one, and do 4 rings on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So,
wow, that's a lot.
Yeah, don't call me weak, but I'm just saying. But I do think that it is catching on in the other states and stuff like that. But I just think that there's a lot of sense to that. But I think, to go back to your point, Dale, I think shows do need to be very, very careful on their judge selection. I think that now more than ever, because again, we're just mid-July. Summer's not over. These exhibitors' families, the exhibitors and their families, if we're kind of in the same situation, next summer, if they have a bad experience, whether they thought the judge was political, whether, check-in wasn't great, or it didn't go smooth, or maybe there was somebody in that group running that show that wasn't, just the friendliest or the kindest or anything. All those little things, when they're looking next year to say, oh, well, we went there last year and we didn't like that.
No,
so
and they're gonna tell their other show families about that, their show friends. It just we need to, and irregardless of cost, we should do this even if we were at last year's cost. We should, as shows and as an industry, we need to continue to try to make this the most positive experience possible. Let's do that and continue to get more people involved and let this grow and let it benefit as many youth as it can. It seems very simple to me.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I'm following you. But what else do you have on this topic?
I think that concludes our topic. Kind of goes.
Nope.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
And again, this is probably going to get a little hate mail, and that's okay.
Excellent.
And I'm going to have to apologize to a friend of mine after I say this, but I do think that maybe we might look into doing some blow-in show stuff. And I'm sorry, John.
Oh, my.
I know he's going to be
This is
angry.
coming out of your mouth.
And I love to fit, and I assemble the best fitting team in the history of the world every time, because when we're fitting, we're going to have the best fit ones there. But it's expensive to fit animals, regardless of species. And if it's this bad again next year, I think some people, not all, because I'm telling you right now, if I have a choice between going to a fit show and going to a non-fit show, I'm going to the fit show. But I also, not just me, but the families that I would have worked with, we probably wouldn't be hit as hard in terms of an economical standpoint, so we can make that choice. That's not the same for everybody. But glue and paint and stuff to break them down and all that, that's expensive. So you might think about so let's go out here. If you're going to have a 2-day show, 1 day's fit, 1 day's not.
Nice compromise.
You know what I'm saying? Let them save somewhere. And again, I love you, John. There's nothing against you. But Dale, do you not agree that it is very expensive?
It is.
To fit animals, to get them broke down, all that.
And more so on the cattle side, but even in the small animals.
They're gluing and painting hogs.
I know they are, just not going through as much as you would on a calf.
Because calves are bigger. But
no, I think that's a good compromise. If it's a two ring show or 2-day show, 1 day's blow and go, 1 day's fit. I'm good with that.
I just think that might be something that you might look into. And again, if you've already had your show this year, you can wait and see what it's like next year before you make that decision. But that's just something that's been rattling around in my head, and I don't want it to get to, I don't ever want it to get to the level that it is in Texas, because 90% of the cattle shows, jackpot shows, all that stuff is blow and show, and I think it sucks. I'm just going to be real honest with you. But I think right now, in this little bit of trying time, if we are having to do this again this time next year, that might be something to consider.
Agreed completely. I have a public service announcement if that's allowed.
Oh, go right ahead.
And I don't know why it just hit me right here, but you remember a conversation I had with you a few days ago. I was very angry.
You're angry every day.
About a $2,900 charge that I received. $2,900 charge.
Oh, shit.
So the public service announcement, the recent trip we took to Switzerland, I loved the family time. It was a great trip. Rented from Enterprise Rental Car in Switzerland.
Why are you calling out people? You're going to get sued.
I don't care. $2,900 is what this comes down to. So at the counter, Ryan, you're there. You do it every time. I decline the insurance. I fill it up when I come back. I'm assuming you do the same, but maybe not. My insurance covers any rental car here in the States. I understand it doesn't cover it internationally. So they were pushing the all-inclusive, no deductible, whatever for I don't know how much money. It wasn't as much as here in the U.S. for the insurance on the rental car, but I took the basic package, which had a $3,000 deductible. I thought, well, if I don't run this off a cliff, I can absorb that less than $3,000. However, what I didn't do was my research, because once I researched this, when we returned home, it seems to be a pretty regular process for them to charge you for every little scratch they can find, whether it was on there when you took the car or not. But video in your car when you get it, and taking you don't have a choice. You're going to get hung if you don't take their full coverage, everything insurance out when traveling in Europe on a rent-a-car. We had a couple scratches on the front bumper. Ryan, I know you find this hard to believe. I did not hit anything. I did not scratch the front bumper, and a couple little scratches on the back rear tailgate, which I am 99% sure were there when we picked up the vehicle. It's not like somebody dinged a door into us that I wasn't aware of. But we get home and we get a $2,900 charge that we have to fight over a couple small scratches. And it appears as though this is very common in Europe. So if traveling in Europe, do take that travel rental car insurance. Don't look back. I'm very angry about those charges, by the way, Ryan. And it wasn't that expensive of a car to rent. It just, it's quite the scam. With that said, question and answer.
Hold up. Now, I have a question.
For question and answer?
No, I just have a question.
Facebook or
I have a question. When Enterprise sues you, do I get involved too?
Yes, you are in it.
I am so glad I don't have access to my trust fund yet. I'm so excited.
I use Enterprise here in the States. I get along very well with it here in the States. But and again, I don't think it's just Enterprise over there. I think it appears
you think online, all the rental car companies are scam artists.
I mean, the little bit of research I did online, you find dozens of these stories exactly like ours. And we had a $3,000 deductible, and I get a $2,900 bill for a couple little scratches that I didn't even happen while I had the vehicle. It seems very odd.
Okay,
very odd. Next time you have to submit your question through like Facebook Messenger.
Before we get to the question and answer of it all, I do want to thank our top 10 award sponsors for this year. Again, they've had their ad spots on the podcast, but I'm going to keep plugging these people because, again, without these sponsors, the BTRJLA would not happen. And so we have 5 very gracious top 10 award sponsors. First one, I might be a little biased to, I'm not going to lie, Ellis Beefmasters.
Just a little biased.
Yeah, just a little. Laddie, Sherry, and Callie Ellis, they're in Laward, so we really appreciate them. We also have Crownstone. We also have Leonard Truck and Trailer, who is the largest single BTR JLA sponsor on every single level that we have. We have the great people at Stock Show Auctions, and we also have Rockin' W. Angus. And so those are our top 10 award sponsors for this year. We really, really appreciate all of those people. So support them, tell them thanks, because we greatly appreciate their support, and we would like for y'all to support them as well.
Absolutely. Greatly appreciated. Sarah has the first question. We have names this time.
That's good.
I sat down. Ryan was running a little late getting checked into his hotel, so I had time.
It was not late. They wouldn't let me in.
That's what I mean. Late. They wouldn't let you check in. Okay, the first one. Great podcast. I come from the dairy cattle show world, so I enjoy listening and learning about your side of the livestock show industry. Why are there not open shows for livestock kids once they've aged out of the youth program? In the dairy show industry, we have open shows where anyone can show at any age. It's a great way to stay involved, and it's very competitive. Why is it not the same for goats, hogs, sheep, and cattle?
We do have open shows.
We do. I don't know that we have. Yeah, I think we have it in all species. We do.
I mean,
I'd stop and think about it. There's fewer open shows now than there was in the past.
yeah, but I mean, they're still there. I mean, most every state fair has open shows for all those species. The big ones have open shows for all those species. I mean, we don't have a whole lot of jackpot shows, but
Open jackpot
right.
shows.
But I mean, I can tell you, in lots of those breeds, they do have shows that are not affiliated with a major show or a state fair that count in those breed points. I mean, those Brahmin people, they're on the road every weekend. I mean, like chasing points for open show points. So I mean, it is there. I don't think it is probably every weekend like it is in the Brahmins and most, but there are definitely different levels of open shows throughout. I think cattle has more of them than what hogs and sheep do. But I know in the boar goat deal, they have open shows lots of weekends.
Yeah, they were a little slow to progress and push the junior program as much as maybe the other species. So they're out there. They're fewer than there used to be. And Ryan, you can remember, and I'm thinking more of the cattle side of things, and even thinking to the pigs a little bit, all species except for goats because they weren't even in existence. But there was a time where that open show, that was it. That was the most competitive show, period, where we've made a strong progression towards the junior shows just almost dominating things at this point in terms of just numbers and size and all of those things. But no, they still exist. There's not as many. And there's not a lot of the open jackpot shows like we see for junior shows. But they do exist, but I can understand coming from the dairy industry and not being totally engaged on our side of it. It makes sense. There's not as many of them. You may not even notice that they exist. The next question comes from John. Love the podcast, and especially last week's episode. I've been raising show hogs for
Incest
many years.
is best. Incest is
I have been raising show hogs for many years, and genetic immunity is real. I will
Genetic
not breed immunity. Remember we talked about that briefly?
Yeah, and I had 5 people message me, all very, they said bullshit. But anyway.
Okay. Genetic immunity is real, and I will not breed a sow back to the same board no matter how good the litter is. My question is this not the same in all show stock species?
And I'm telling you, I had 5 pig breeders message me on Facebook and say this is a bunch of bullshit. So I will say this about the incest is best topic of it all. I've never got so many, just from people that are not close to me or that I don't have a whole lot of contact with. I got a bunch of people messaging, snapping, and stuff like that. So it did get a lot of discussion. And, when I was talking to all these people, whether it was Snap or Message or all this stuff, I said, I think this is the true beauty of this podcast right here. Because I'm sure if these people took the time to message me, they talked about it in their families. They talked about it to their friends that do stuff and, raise stock and all this other stuff. And that's what this podcast is for, is to get people talking. We're just putting out information there. Yes, we give our opinions, but we put topics out there to get you to think, to get you to talk, to get you to discuss as well, because that's what we need.
Exactly. Don't assume us to be authorities on anything.
I am an authority on everything.
Very good at tossing out topics.
I am always right and seldom in doubt. No, I'm joking. But anyway.
Okay, back to John's question. John, to my knowledge, I'm not aware of cattle breeders, sheep breeders, or goat breeders that even understand the term genetic immunity or how it relates to how you're talking about it. In my experience, I've only heard this in the swine circles. So I would say it's the opposite in the others. When we have a flush that goes well on the cattle side,
they do it again.
Yeah, it's just almost automatic. It's not. I mean, if you don't, that's because you're going to roll the dice on a younger generation that you think maybe got that just a little bit extra that isn't proven yet, but you're going to take that chance. So John, I think it's pretty specific, at least this theory, to the swine side. And I am convinced, and I had a lot of people say, yes, it exists. No, it doesn't, in communication with me after that episode. And I am still convinced that statistically, to get that good litter, you're going to have to breed that boar and sow 100 times to get that great litter. And you just so happen to get it. You got very lucky. You won the lottery. That it is difficult to do again. So I know when in the past you had those experiences breeding that sow back to that boar, or your father or grandfather, I understand this next litter probably wasn't as good, but that's how gametes come together. That's the statistics of it all. Maybe there's more to it. I don't know. I understand how the term came to be. I understand the mindset. I understand all of that. But I think
kept track of the people that messed me, only in the hog deal, because that's what we were talking about. And it was 5-1. They say it's bullshit.
Mine was pretty even on the hog side.
I had 5-1, and I'm not saying I had more than that, but those 6 people, very successful, well respected, the whole 9 yards. And so anyway, that's what I kept track of. So I was like, damn it.
Okay, and that's how I felt the first time I came up. It just took a little thought to figure out why we're seeing these results or these end results. Sam has the final question. This is a great question. It came in, I assume, this morning. I saw it right before. If Ryan, if you weren't waiting to get checked in your hotel, this question would have never made it on. I would not have found it.
All thanks to me.
Yeah, thanks to you. And this is addressed to Ryan.
Ryan, good, even better.
Ryan, I follow you on Snap.
Shit.
I worry. And I think your mother is adorable.
Oh, God.
Why do you consistently give her a hard time on Snap?
Because I have been kidnapped by her my whole life, and I've had to deal with her. She's not my mother. She's not. I'm telling you. She found me on the orphanage or something. I was an alien, and she found me in a nunnery. I don't know. But anyway.
She would not put up with your crap if she was not your mother.
Whatever. I love that woman, but I have dealt with her shenanigans, her insanity, and all this other stuff for all these years. And just let me tell you something, sir. Whoever this is.
I don't know if it's Sam.
Sir, ma'am, whoever. Let me tell you something. Before there was social media or Snap, that woman was giving me immortal hell every day of my life, and I had to take it. Now the tides have turned. The only difference is I get to entertain you people with it. And it's all in good fun. It's not like I'm locking her up in a basement and chaining her there with her gigantic lobster and throwing food at her.
I thought the lobster.
She looks real abused, doesn't she? With her 2 huge diamond rings on and all this. Yeah, she's the most abused. Poor thing.
You were picking on her a little bit about the giant lobster. I would have to come to her defense on that one.
Because y'all didn't have to crack it open for her like I did.
That thing looked amazing.
Ooh, oh, my God. Really I promise you, and Dale has been there, and he just won't say it, that woman gives me as much shit as I give her. She just doesn't know how to work social media or Snap.
We're going to have to coach her a little bit.
Dale, you've been there, and you better
I'm not. I'm Switzerland.
Lies. Oh, you lie. Anyway, I don't care. I can bring 50 people on this podcast and be like, she deserves a little hell for what I've had to deal with my whole life.
Okay, well, Sam, hopefully that answers it. I don't, Sam, I thought maybe your question would help the situation, but
no, now it's going to be worse. Now I'm going to literally put her in handcuffs and chain her to a bar chair at the Kentucky State Fair.
You can dedicate one of those snaps to Sam.
I'm like, hey, sir, this is what happened.
Okay, well, I appreciate you finding time in Colorado Springs of it all, and I hope you have a good show. But until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?